Rockers. So yeah. Well, yeah, for someone who's wearing this shirt, well, I'm getting it. I'll get to that in a minute. But, yeah, so, if you hadn't already noticed from the shirt, we're going to be talking about, and from the fact that it's, Monday, it's the one Monday after the Infinity War weekend. And, saw it Saturday. He was hoping to kind of record it sometime Sunday. Didn't happen. Yet. Kind of soaking in a lot of the spoiler reviews I was kind of neglecting to do prior to this. Usually that's kind of my prep up. But, other than my own actual thoughts. So, here's the thing. Thanos. Up there in terms of Marvel villains. Not sure if I can say he's better than Killmonger, but we'll see how the part 2 happens to be. Yeah. And this, for anyone who's caught up with all 18 films, you definitely have to. It's definitely worth the time. Definitely worth going to check out. If you want to go all out into IMAX 3D or whatever certain way to see it that's a bigger deal and of a bigger scale as this film asks to do, go do it. It's worth the full price of admission. And for the most part, the film itself is Thanos' story. Just know, you have to know that going in. It's not a spoiler necessarily, but yeah, that's something you definitely have to know going in, because let's face it, we didn't really have much about Thanos aside from certain things of what we've seen of him in certain snippets, certain post-credits snippets, and what we've gotten out of him at least within the first Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's about it. So this film had to definitely do something to kind of get us to kind of really go for it. And he's definitely different from the way his motivations are far different from that of the comics, and it kind of is in a good way. In fact, I kind of prefer it over what was in the comics. So, anyway. And, of course, it also stars everyone else, except for a couple people I won't name until I get to the spoilers, which will be hats off. Oh, and I got a haircut, so if you hadn't noticed from the beard. So, just to warn you. So, yeah. Overall, I'd say, for those of you who hadn't seen Ready Player One, after this, it may spoil you so much that if you decide to go see Ready Player One, yeah, that may have just knocked that movie down a few pegs for you. Just gonna say that right now. But didn't. Because right now, as far as I'm concerned, I can't really say whether or not this is the best of the movies, of the Marvel movies. But as far as Phase 3 is concerned, it's definitely way up there. But I'm just going to say right now, Black Panther is still kind of better in terms of an actual story, having a good solid villain, and just solid characters all around, and just a certain something to the cultural impact that Black Panther has. This doesn't necessarily have that, but for what this film is compared to the other Avenger movies, it is possibly the Luke, I am your father level of Empire Strikes Back level of fudge popsicles. Yes. It's the fact that the Russo brothers pulled this off is, yeah. Also, they did the Captain America movies, and before that, most people might actually know them for Community, actually. Stuff like Community and and Arrested Development in terms of TV shows. They did comedy shows before they did this. So, which is why it makes sense that the comedy there's some comedy in here, but for the most part, this is a very tense movie from the opening get-go. I'm going to just say that right now. And, yeah, overall, this movie it rocks. I can't say it's fully masterclass, just because I don't know what's the second part's going to be. And this definitely feels very much similar to how some people had seen, especially the way they ended this thing as a very Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 kind of thing. Just throwing that out there. If you've seen that, you get it. You get it already. And they kind of did throw some things at you in the trailers that isn't in here. That's probably going to bum some people. And here we go. You already know my rating. You already know my little thoughts that should be enough to tell you to go see this movie. So, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hats off. Spoilers. You've been warned. When we begin this movie off, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The way this movie begins off leaves off literally after that post-cred scene in Thor Ragnarok. And Thor just can't get a fucking break, man. Because all of Asgard, what's left of actual Asgard from what we've learned in this in Ragnarok, is gone. Hell, Valkyrie's not even in this movie. Valkyrie's not in this movie. Korg's not in it. Like, we don't know if they just got killed off. It's possible that's the case because we find out that Thanos has the Power Stone. And because of that, he's gained enough of an extra little boost that basically, and it seems that he manages to try to give away the Tesseract. And kind of throws in the "we have a Hulk" joke from the first Avengers throwback. And then we get, whoo, shit. The Loki winds up being the first legitimately on-screen death we get. Aside from Idris Elba's character, who starts with an H, I'm forgetting, I'm blanking, like I probably did in the Thor Ragnarok. I'm sorry, guys. Heimdall? I think I probably mispronounced it, but anyway. Yeah, he died, but he kind of he managed to be more useful about it as opposed to Loki at this point. In fact, how to make Thanos such a badass? Basically make Loki the bitch, which he kind of was, I guess. If you think about it, he had done this out of working for Thanos. So, yeah. Also, Hulk, and then throwing the "we have a Hulk," and we get to finally see Hulk, but this is the one and only time you're going to see him, because he gets he starts off, and then one of the dudes, I'm forgetting the new dude's name, but he's probably the more memorable one of the Black Order, or Dark Order as I refer to him, I don't know. And they're like, let him have his fun. And at that point, it's like Tyson and whoever the fuck he thought and possibly bit the ear off of or something, and that kind of, that fight just beats or at least a Clubber Lang to Rocky in Rocky 3 kind of thing. Just fucking just fucking beats the shit out of Hulk. Just son of a bitch. That was enough to make you be like, yeah, you just made the Hulk a bitch. And it becomes even more apparent because Hulk, the taking a shit face from Mark Ruffalo here, trying to turn Hulk, and he can't even do that because he's so seemingly kind of afraid of Thanos, and it's like, but he's not facing up against Thanos. It's just his minions. You could, that and it just, we're probably saving money for the next film. I don't know. But they did them both simultaneously around the same time, so I'm not entirely sure what to think on that. So, overall, and it seems it starts off before that. It actually, during the creds things, you don't really get much of a score. You get a distress signal, I think you would say. I guess that's supposed to be from the ship. That eventually leads to the Guardians picking up Thor later, which we'll get to that in a minute. Meanwhile, back on Earth, as of the point of Hulk being sent via the Bifrost, which was Heimdall's last good thing he did before he got offed by the rest of the Black Order. Or even Thanos himself. And yeah, and Thor just is like, for that you will die. It's like, Thor gets the best. Is of the Avengers characters, he gets the most to shine. More than he ever has, even far more than Thor. Than in Ragnarok, both on a comedy level and on a good, epic, serious level too. That's where the real, true essence of balance comes in. Some people may not like the way he gets the weapon later on, but him and the Rockets, just to call it, like, every time he calls him a rabbit, doesn't even know what a fucking raccoon is. Just that always was funny. We get all this humor, but some people feel like it lands a bit after we just had, like, serious moments, and I could see how some people, it would throw people off, but really, I feel like the whole point of those humorous moments at this point is to kind of balance and just kind of give you moments to just have a nice laugh to kind of ease your mind from some of the intense shit you just went through, even though you're still remembering it, but you're trying to get a joke. It's some people, they need a break for a minute, but sometimes I feel like it's kind of there, not really forced anything. It's just, wow. The jokes actually land here, especially with the Guardians this time around, and more in the ways of the first film, which was okay to me, but it feels more like the stuff we got out of Thor Ragnarok, which I thought was funnier. Like whatever Taika Waititi did for Thor, brilliant. And acting, and not only comedic chops, but acting chops in general, Chris Hemsworth brings his A game in a way that we never thought was his A game before. So, if you don't become if you're not a Thor fan after this, it's like, I don't know what to tell you on that, but, because he gets a lot to shine on this one, and we get him separated, he meets up with the Guardians, and then we get a group separation where Rocket and Groot go with Thor to go get his little new weapon upgrade, while the rest of them deal with Thanos. And that actually is where this is where the real development becomes for not only Thanos, but for Gamora as well. And her development, or at least for the most part when we see her in there. I kind of saw it coming. Like, some of these things that most people say they didn't see coming, I kind of did. Just off of the non-spoiler reviews, and just having heard about how the ending is, and knowing it's supposedly a part 1, they just decided to do a weird name change for part 2 or whatever. But yeah, I kind of knew Gamora. I kind of knew the moment that she kept talking her shit on him. Like, I understood why, but at the moment I did that, and it was like, in that one scene, that flashback scene you kind of see snippets of in the trailers, it's a bit much. Like, he keeps her from seeing her own race being annihilated, like, makes her focus on the one thing. She was the only one of the children of Thanos that she actually did give a fuck about, and actually considered as her own, and actually gave a shit. Even though he was, he's still this tyrant, and is just kind of an asshole that basically all his main motivations are basically population control. I mean, it doesn't sound much, but when you see the film and you see his development there, it makes more sense. And it's just, it really was one of the more impactful ones in terms of those deaths. And the way they end this is just, like, you almost think that they always, that they just beat Thanos that easily. Like, no. And to the extent that, and for the most part, Iron Man, Doctor Strange gets a lot out of this one, mostly because of his involvement with the Time Stone, which is a huge part, which that was a huge ordeal. And the relationship that further finally blossoms between... Hell, the relationship between Vision and Scarlet Witch is awesome. I actually enjoyed. I just wish Vision got a lot more to do and he wasn't being put up as such a bitch when he's such a... I understood with Thanos by the near end, but with all the other henchmen, I'm like, seriously? They don't even give him a chance to actually do some shit like he kind of sort of did within the final battle with Civil War and that. We don't even let him, because there's so many characters, it's hard to give some of these people a chance to truly shine. And when they do shine, it's more out of either acting performance from like the actors that portray them, or in certain action scenes for the characters. And well, for Paul Bettany, that was more within how he would handle his relationship towards Scarlet Witch. Same could be said for Elizabeth Olsen, but at least she got to do a lot more action-wise to shine, which was really cool. And Gamora's death, hell, the scene that we see with one of the, what looked like death, or one of the people that was guarding the stone, turns out that was a nice, just a lovely little cameo to see Red Skull back again, but it's not Hugo Weaving playing Red Skull, it's some other dude that was from some other show. I'm guessing, I don't know if it was Arrested Development or from Community or something. Just they brought in some connections with those, I guess, and they got one of them to play the Red Skull or something. That was something, but for me, the battle that wound up happening where Nebula, that led to eventually Nebula, Spider-Man, where Thor's dealing with his little thing, which, for Game of Thrones fans, the dwarf king that runs the whole blacksmith thing, ship or whatever, fucking, why am I forgetting your name all of a sudden? Gosh darn it, I shouldn't. Dude who plays why am I forgetting his name? Yeah, damn it. The dude who basically plays Tyrell from Game of Thrones. That dude. And he's like massively bigger. That's just meant, I guess, to play somewhat comedic, but he had some decent lines in there. That was also an interesting little cameo list kind of thing. There's had so many good lines in here. It's even hard for me to want to even try to properly spoil, but the one that really sets in stone how much of a great villain he was near the end when on Wakanda, which is one of the final battles, where they're facing off against these other creatures that kind of look like the alien creatures, sort of, I guess. And them coming into, and them defending everyone in Wakanda and whoever's left on Earth, going up and offending them, except we don't get to see Banner fight them, because Hulk's being a little bitch, so he's basically forced to use the Hulkbuster, which was a badass in Age of Ultron when Tony used it, but when Banner uses it, he's kind of being a bit, it's just as much of a bitch as Hulk is being the Banner. It's just ridiculous. And Shuri was nice, or at least what chance she got to show off of how smart she really is, and just making Tony and Banner's and Bruce's making them look like bitches when it came to the idea, like not even coming up with whatever ideas she had to allow Vision to still be able to roam without needing the Soul Stone, or the Mind Gem, actually, I should say. But he already got the Power Stone. Now he's and he's managed to get all the other stones, and then now the final 2 stones are wind up being with Doctor Strange with the Eye of Agamotto. He finds, and that final battle just shows how badass Strange is, and he got to do a lot more, and even to the point of helping them take out, like, Spider-Man getting to do his fucking thing was just glorious. Magic kick! Magic is just so funny. And the pop culture references he tries to pull out, and just like, Tony's like, dude, enough with the pop culture references, you're done. Just, Thor was just, the joke with once, like, everyone clapped when Thor, Groot, and them finally showed up at the Wakanda battle. Through the Bifrost was just, everyone clapped with that. Everyone clapped when Cap kind of came in to help Vision and Scarlet Witch being in the movie. All this stuff. It was a fun. Just having a good crowd and community in the theater was fun. But the ending is where I'm just gonna have to skip through there were so many feats from Thor, man. That's just makes it worth watching. And it bums me out that we don't even get Hawkeye or Ant-Man, but obviously because they're saving him for the movie that's coming out, but, nobody's going to care for Ant-Man, but now all of a sudden people are probably going to be caring for another character that we've yet to see, but we know is in the works and is still kind of being in development at the moment. And that's the part of the post-credit scene comes in, where we finally get to see Toby Smulders' character, forgetting her name, and then, of course, Nick Fury, Samuel Jackson. They basically get whisked away like dust in the wind. A lot of characters, basically mostly Phase 2 and Phase 3 characters, get whisked, that have been introduced there, have been whisked away, and we're left with mostly all the originals. He gives away the Time Stone, has to give away the Time Stone. He winds up eventually getting all of them and snaps his fingers, and immediately does, like the comic book, snaps his fingers and winds up obliterating half the universe. Mostly, and unfortunately Fury and them wind up getting offed, but he manages to page someone, and it shows the Captain Marvel symbol near the post-credit scene, mostly just hinting at the fact that basically we have to see Captain Marvel, because it's supposed to be a big deal, and she's supposed to be a big player, even though I know her power's set up. And even with that being said, it's like, what could she add? Like, I need to see this movie to know what could she add to the table to allow them to beat Thanos now for the next movie, because Thanos succeeds. He succeeds. Even with Thor's nice little moment where he gets to finally whack him and say he did it, it's like, and then he's like, shoulda aimed for the head. That was just glorious. And he kind of won. And now he's sitting, and we end it with him sitting. We lose everyone. It sucked once we seen Bucky go, but then all of a sudden, because of recent news, the only thing that makes it less likely is then all of a sudden Black Panther goes. Like, okay, it loses its impact a little bit. So anyone who has died before the snap of fingers is more than likely going to come back, just off of that alone. And we already know Spider-Man's got some, and he had the most impactful of the ones that were whispered away, because he's a little kid. He has in the same fear he had in what happened in Homecoming. He's like, I don't want to die. And he's just holding, like, freaking out, like, I don't want to die. And I'm like, fuck. After this, I'm like, good luck doing a Death of Spider-Man storyline, Sony, while you still have the rights. What rights you do have left. Jeez. That was something. Everyone's gone. All the Guardians, except for Rocket. So it seems. That's the only, Phase 2 member that seems to still be around, is Rocket. Because Groot's gone, which sucks. I'm glad it didn't affect the hammer, though. That's good. And Stormbreaker hammer, which was Beta Ray Bill's in the comics, so that was kind of a nice little Easter egg there. And, yeah, and he gets his old costume back, which was nice. Nice to see. Yeah. I'm just glad we got to see a lot. Even the humor and everything, and him and Peter Quill going at it was fun. There was so much good stuff in here. And as this film kind of ends with him, after Thanos had snapped his fingers, he goes, he basically talks to little Gamora, and she asks, was it worth it? And he's like, what did it cost you? She's like, what did it cost you? It's like, everything. And you see when he does it, you see the tear. When he does kill Gamora just to get the Soul Stone, you can see the tear because he does care. He cries for her. It's like I knew, yeah, because I knew the way he treated her when he first met her. He even the way he kind of went about it himself when he saw her and seen the betrayal, it's like, dude, he's not Nebula gets shit. You could tell Nebula got fucked over a lot. Not just from the talks that's the only thing about Guardians 2 that was, looking back on, that's actually still worthwhile, is the relationship that between Gamora and Nebula, and how they try to do their best to fix that. That was the one thing that actually does translate better coming into looking back on Guardians Volume 2 coming out of this movie. I'll say that much about it. And it seems Nebula's another one that still seems to be around. So I'm guessing she's supposed to be like Stark and Stark's right home, because he survived this. Everyone's speculations is, it's pretty clear that after this and the high stakes, they have to really think things through when they go up against Thanos later. Yeah. And whoever's left here and trying to just defeat Thanos and everything. So they got to find a way to defeat Thanos, get the gauntlet, and try to fix things back the way it was. Not sure who they're going to get. Maybe Captain Marvel's going to play a part and be the one that's powerful enough to hold and wield the gauntlet. Possibly. Which the gauntlet was actually being made by the one dwarf. Played by a guy who plays from Game of Thrones that I'm forgetting. Why am I forgetting? Because I seen him in X-Men Days of Future Past and he was great in that. I don't remember his name, but I kept forgetting. Forgive me. You'll probably put in the comments below, and that's okay. I'd be alright with that. But overall, guys, sorry for the long one, but it's kind of spoilerish here. So, I cannot wait to see what they do next. How they're going to end this next year's with part 2 of this, whatever they're going to call it. Still up in the air. We know now Captain Marvel's going to be a huge ordeal. We still got Ant-Man and the Wasp this year, but nobody's going to care about it, and that sucks even more now, because this film was actually good compared to Age of Ultron, which is why Ant-Man was a bigger highlight for me that year when that came out, and why now Ant-Man and Wasp, which I know now it looks way better than what Ant-Man was, and now it's not going to hold a candle after Infinity War and Black Panther already this year. So that's what sucks for this year, that Ant-Man and the Wasp is going to be on the lower end of the tier. But I'm just hoping to be, because of this, now my expectations of that film being lowered, maybe it'll be even higher because of the fact of what these films did so well to make my expectations lower. So who knows what happens with that. But, guys, what did you think of it? What are your thoughts on Infinity War? I know I'm a little jumbled. There's a lot to process, so it's hard for me to really truly properly spoil it compared to everyone else. So, with a lot to take in and just trying to bring in my own thoughts here, just whatever. Just, let's make it a better discussion in the comment section, since just be mindful for some people who haven't seen it, and for those who haven't, just be wary of the comment section. If y'all want to, or have seen this and want to talk about this, just comment below, let me know. Rock that like button if you like this video, with thrust if you must, as well as do the same while also following on my Facebook page while you follow my Facebook page. And as always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. I will see you in the next video, whatever that may be. I want to say Seven Dust, but after hearing their discography lately, I don't know. I may just give you thoughts on it. I may not do an actual review. We'll see. Take care, y'all.